Welcome into the ATB show. ATBshow.com. You go there, you find all of the digital happenings. We are brought to you by our dear friends at AAA Work Trucks. Rubber Shoes is in here. So if it's in, around, or stuck to the side of a truck, like his likeness, I don't even know how it goes. But you know what? I think, honestly,
AAAWorkTrucks.com is where you go. AAA Work Trucks.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be happy probably having us just putz around it a little bit. Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about. If it goes in, on, or around a truck, it's brought to you by AAA Work Trucks. They're fine.
Listen, if you have a truck, call them. That's it. Yeah. All you have to do is just call them. It doesn't matter what you need. Just call them. They'll figure it out for you.
And if you want your wife to appreciate you, have her watch the commercial on Rubber Shoes and his actual wife. Because I can tell you, as a dear friend,
yes,
the disappointment on Stephanie's face is just...
She's getting a lot of time on this podcast because of her fantastic acting.
Yeah. Yes.
Acting.
Yes. If it goes in, on, or around a truck, or you have buckets of disdain for the marital choices you've made, call Mother Shoes or AAA Work Trucks. Anyway, we're into it. We're all over it, and they left us alone. I was going to say, you're like, oh God, I don't know what are we doing? Listen. When the adults in the sports world, Scotty Dukes and Rubber Shoes, leave us to our own devices, here we are.
It's anybody's guess. We'll be talking about cocaine on the floor at the White House. Who knows?
Could come up. Well, let me say this concerning that breaking news. The few things that I do see, because I always have, if some sort of sports entertainment is on, it's on the 55 over here, and then the 43 is running the news. And not a laughing matter by any means. It's actually heartbreaking to watch, but this is also speaks to the fact that some people have to punch out at some point before they get to the point where things like today happened. I do believe it was real time today that it was coming up on the news. Mitch McConnell was addressing the press somewhere in the Capitol, and he just mid-sentence parks his car and stops talking. And they lean in, they're like, Senator, did you want to finish speaking with the press? Do you want to head back to your office? And he sort of comes back around, and they escort him on. It's sad to see that.
It's terrible.
And terrible. Right, left, or right down the middle, which nobody in this country is because we love polarizing each other. Wherever you are, that's got to be okay. Yeah.
Well, you know, I agree with you, and we don't need to get too deep into it, but I will say that the Senate is full of people. Dianne Feinstein is another example from California. I know she's, she's basically incoherent at the moment, and going to be replaced soon. These people who get too old, and I hate to say that, my mom is obviously aging. Your mom is a little bit older. It's like, you don't want to say that about people, but there does come a point where it's like, okay, maybe you're not all there, and we need people who are. I mean, just to put it bluntly, So I don't know.
I know, and I appreciate you respecting our dear mothers. My mom's only constituent is Mr. Jingles, and as long as he gets wet food in the morning and the afternoon, and they turn the Red Sox on at 7:15, Mr. Jingles is happy.
Mr. Jingles.
Yeah.
If she pauses for a minute giving him his food, what does he say? Does he just give a little rub against the leg?
Not much. Mr. Jingles is right there with Mitch McConnell. He's pausing it. Yeah. Yeah. He's struggling. He's struggling at the podium as well. The podium, I guess they would call it if they were cats. No opposable thumb. Yes. If he's trying to make a speech at the podium, he would probably struggle. Yes. Good night, everybody. Try the veal. We'll be here all week. We will not be here all week. We'll be here till at least 6 o'clock. That's all we've got time for. Hopefully. Well, when you and I, it could be 90 minutes. It usually turns into the English patient. I could do it with the cameras too. Hold on, stand by. Here we go.
Oh no.
Nope, you asked. Nobody. I just said you asked for it. Nobody asked for this, but anyway, we're still going to do it.
Single person.
How do I do? Hang on, stand by.
Sepia? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Because why not?
Of course.
I should be able.
I love it.
Hang on.
It's like
I think if I go temperature.
Oh, no, there I go.
That blued you up a little bit. I'm not sure if I can actually just go straight up. This is
something
fun.
We should definitely do offline.
Probably. Hang on, I can heat you up. There's the heat wave.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
or
hey,
there you go.
Oh.
There you go. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Hang on. We're
Do you
doing
have
it.
any old-timey music?
There.
Oh, the old men are screaming again.
Da, 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 da. Now like more like Mitch McConnell. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if we're
You're Mitch McConnell,
if we're
I'm
actually gonna do the
Diane
English
Feinstein.
patient
Let's go.
there, which is not necessarily in black and white, but
No.
nonetheless, I'm bringing you back. Don't worry.
Thank
Can
you.
we?
I
Let's
appreciate
jump right
that.
into the soup of the day because it just happened yesterday. Lots happened yesterday, actually. It was a
Yes.
triple header. We'll talk about all three things. Kike, which would have been DFA'd, he would have been designated for assignment. He got sent back to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and we got
Bye-bye.
two AAA pitchers who could be ready to come up and help out. And everybody thinks that we're going to do one more thing and get an actual starter. Who knows? But
Would
then
be
somebody
nice.
else would have to move. We'll see. Bergie actually announced his official retirement. But
Yep.
the real big news, the huge financial news, if you're a Boston sports fan, is that they went, $308 million?
304, I think.
304.
Was it
304 on the Supermax.
Yeah.
And I guess here's my question, because at this point, the good news, there's anything could happen. The good news is there's no possible way they do what they did yesterday, and then they don't do the same thing next summer for JT.
Yeah, 100%.
They're doing this on purpose.
Right.
I guess my concern is because I'm the guy on the show that says that, JT is not unlocked. I don't think he's unlocked.
Oh.
JT's like, if we went back
Got
to
a couple
Chelmsford-
more levels to
if
get
we
to.
went back to Chelmsford High School, there's still a bike in the bike rack with one of those old school bike locks that nobody can figure out from the class of 83.
Right.
I feel like
And
JT's never going to be unlocked. I feel like everybody's like, oh no, they're going to figure it out. I don't think a combined $650 million would be like, that did it.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
I get it.
I agree with you that the money is not going to solve the problem, right? It's going to be work, but there is now expectation, right? Money puts expectation on you. And the expectation that they've had so far is sort of like, oh, isn't this nice? You got a third-round draft pick that nobody expected to do much of anything.
Sure.
And he's teamed up with this other guy, and it looks cool. And they made it to a couple of conference finals, and they made it to the finals. And wow, they're way overachieving what they should be, where they should be at this point in their career. Now you slap $300 million down on the table, and you go, okay, time to not overachieve, time to achieve and actually finish the job. And the other thing is, I hope that this puts to rest, because it is the richest contract in NBA history, which won't last very long.
No, 2 more weeks.
Other people will get it. Yeah, but at least he got the headlines that basically screams like, the Celtics want you here, the fans want you here, like, stay here, stop bitching about the fact that people booed you 7 years ago, and deal with it. And to me, like, I love Jaylen Brown. I love him. I want him to stay here forever. I'm so glad they wrapped him up. But now it's time, no excuses. You just got to work, and you can't disappear in big games. You can't. And, he disappeared against the Heat in Game 7. I mean, everybody did, basically. But he, in particular, disappeared, and you can't. When you have that much money attached to your name, it's time to show up, or they're going to have to move on. And the one thing I'd liked is that they did not include a no-trade clause in the contract. So if they do feel like they need to move on, they can move on. And I think Brad Stevens has shown his willingness to move on from guys. I'm not suggesting that that's even close to what's going to happen, but if he gets two more years down the road and we don't get anything from this tandem, maybe it's time to start thinking about it. But I love the move. I want to be clear about that. I love the move. I think it makes the Celtics a better team. I think giving him some security makes him feel like, okay, I'm here for the long haul, and this is where I want to win championships. And I think they'll do the same thing with JT next year. And if Porzingis is what they think he's going to be, then maybe he gets a little bit longer of an extension. He's not going to get the $380 million extension, but maybe he gets an extension that will keep him here a little bit longer, and they can make a 4 or 5 year run out of it. I hope so.
Well, you make a great point too. They get into the Supermax with JT, and they collectively, the two of them, will take up 70% of their salary cap,
which is crazy.
So then we're running into what I always thought was going to eventually be an issue for the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes getting the deal that he got.
Right.
But he was very clear at the end of last season. I love that we won again. I want to do this. And he didn't necessarily reference the Brady blueprint, but you got to sit back. You got to restructure constantly to make sure there's food on the table for everybody else.
Yeah.
When all these other guys' contracts come up, and obviously if Porzingis is a fit, they'll make it work. But now you've got those three will be a massive part of your structure.
Right.
There'll be maybe, whatever that percentage is left over, with 30% of your salary cap left after this next deal gets done next year. What happens when all these guys do come up and you're looking to re-sign Brogdon, or even the Porzingis deal is going to be tough because that's going to shrink that 30% that currently will be the new number next summer down to something even smaller. And is that tenable to move on? Because as we know, when we sign people, and we have, what was it? It was his first game. Who was our boy that snapped his leg? It was so gross when he rolled
Gordon
his leg.
Hayward.
Yeah, Hayward. I mean, I don't know. That's my biggest concern. Like, I saw it and I'm like, good, because they're investing, but it's just, how I feel with these deals. Like I always talk about when they gave Pajoya the $100 million. I'm like, worst idea ever, and it was.
Yep.
Not because I didn't like Petey, because he then had a turn for the worse. It just went downhill, and I'm not trying to be Eeyore, but it's just I don't know if I love it, dude. I don't know if I love it. This is a guy that dribbles off his foot in the playoffs.
But you have no choice, though. I mean, honestly, okay, so play this out in your head. You don't give him an extension, and then you basically lose him for nothing next year, right?
I know.
Okay, so then who fills the spot? It's not Porzingis. I mean, Porzingis is good.
No.
I like Porzingis, but he's not Jaylen Brown's level. And here's the thing. I think that, first of all, the Heat give us absolute fits. They're the only team that we really struggle against. Honestly, like in the East, they're really the only team that we struggle against. And it's because, they give everybody problems. The only people they didn't give problems to this year were the Nuggets, and nobody was going to give the Nuggets trouble. I mean, even if we made the finals, it was a 4-1 series, it was a 4-2 series maybe. And so, to me, the Heat have gotten worse because they lost Gabe Vincent. They have, if they make the move for Lillard, maybe, but every day that passes, I think, is not going to happen. And I think Brown is going. I hate to use the phrase because you were, mocking it a second ago, but is going to figure it out. I really do. I think, going left has got to be his number one focus all offseason. And he's a competitor. I'm sure that's what it is. I'm sure when he's in the gym, it's go to the left. I mean, JT 2 years ago in the finals, he was terrible going to the left. And then he came back last year and he was an absolute beast. So I think personally, they can learn from each other and hopefully grow together so that, I guess for me, if this duo turns into 2 or 3, I know it's lofty, but 2 or 3 banners, it's worth it. You pay the money and it's worth it. I don't think everybody says, it's locked in because they got Porzingis now and they got Jaylen Brown. And I don't think it's locked in, but I do think that they're in a much better position, even with Smart gone. I think Smart was amazing. I love Smart, but I think he was such a weight in that locker room. He carried so much weight that I think he's the type of guy that JT and Jaylen Brown felt like they couldn't be the leaders that they needed to be with him around. And so it's not a knock or a negative against Smart. I think it's just the fact that Smart was such a strong presence in the locker room that they couldn't find their way to leadership. And I think now they have no choice. It's them and Missoula. And Missoula's, like a deer in the headlights. So, JT and JB, it's your team now. Let's see what you got.
Well, you said about rattling off a few, it'll be worth it. I think, honestly, they get one done. It'll be worth it because they'll get the stink on them. And well, I'm not saying settle for one, but what if for some reason, because not a lot has changed except for Porzingis, for some reason,
we lost Grant.
Yeah. I mean, if the Porzingis ad is really that amazing, and I think also having Cassell on the bench now, if that's going to be a huge help. And if they get to a final and, God willing, win a final, I think just getting the stink back in the Garden. That's there. There's a cachet. People don't love playing them, the whole 9 yards. But, like, Like, okay, Boston has figured it out. I want to go be a piece. But the concern is the math moving forward is going to be really unbelievable. Again, I'm going to go back to that because that's just two players tying up that much of the salary cap is brain damage.
I agree. I think that Stevens is going to have to be a magician with his draft picks.
Yeah.
And so you can bring guys in who are going to contribute. Like even a guy like Peyton Pritchard, I'm glad they kept him around. And he'll be hopefully a contributing piece. He's not going to be, he's probably going to be third guard off the bench would be my guess. But that's still more than he was when Smart was here, right? And Pritchard is a baller. I mean, the guy, he fights and claws and he brings energy. He's a spark plug. So if you have White starting and then Brogdon comes off the bench and you can give you can have Tatum or Brown a blow, you can bring in Pritchard and it's a totally different look. And so I think the money situation is going to work itself out because they have been very good at drafting and moving guys up.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the summer league you watched, but they have a couple of guys. Jay Scrubb is really good coming up. They signed him to a 2-way contract. He probably won't see much time with the Celtics, but early in the season, we'll be able to see him on the court, I'm sure. And then J.D. Davison, who is excellent, like really great player. He's going to be a piece that if they lose, let's say Brogdon next year, which I'd hate to see, but if they do, because the money is tight, he's going to be a piece that they could put in there that's not going to be a huge cost. He doesn't give you everything that Brogdon gives you, but he gives you a piece that's got he's got quickness. He's a great ball handler, great court vision, and can score the ball too. So, I mean, all of those things. The only thing Brogdon gives that I like better than any of the guards that we have, and if he can stay healthy, is his strength. I just think he's stronger than any of the guards and most of the guards that they face. The only guy that gives him fits is Donovan Mitchell, and Donovan Mitchell gives everybody fits. So I think everybody else, he's pretty good, can stay with them and then can attack them. And as long as he stays healthy, I think it's I think we're positioned for a good season. Knock on wood. I don't want to see a Gordon Hayward situation, obviously.
They're expecting his Supermax to be 350.
Something in that ballpark.
Something like that. So I just looked up because I'm like, well, there's got to be a blueprint. Other people must be doing this. There's 13 NBA players who signed humongous veteran Supermax extensions. And this article is just from the 25th because obviously Jalen brought the conversation up. So Jalen signed with us 304 this year. Russell Westbrook, 205 back in 2017, 5-year deal. 5 years in 2017, 201 for Steph Curry. Giannis, 228 for 5 years in 2020. Jokic, 270, 5 years. Luka, 207 for 5 years. That was in 21. Bradley Beal, 251. Carl Anthony, 224. Dame, 196, 4-year deal in 19. Devin Booker, 4-year, 224 and 22. Joel, 196 in 2021 for 4 years. John Wall, I love. Because I know you don't love him. Johnny Wall with the Washington Wizards did 170 and 17 for 4 years.
What have you won, asshole? What have you won?
Rudy Gobert is 205 in 2020 for 5-year deal. So no, there's not a team. I guess I'm making my point. And I wish Scotty was here because he'd be like, nope, you're wrong. There's not a team in the NBA that's carrying 2 megas or Supermaxes. I apologize.
Well, I don't know what KD's making. So KD probably in Phoenix is probably close. I don't know if he's on a Supermax deal or not. I would assume he is, but
yeah, there must be some expiring ones. I apologize. I guess my concern is these two are happening back-to-back summers are gonna total arguably 654.
Right, which is an insane amount of money, no question about it.
Because the other numbers I was reading was 196, 170, 220.
Right. So it's like double, basically. It basically ends up, well, a little bit less than double. But the other thing that, as you were reading off that list, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, which of these has worked out? right? So Steph Curry's deal obviously worked out.
Yes.
Right? And
Yep.
and Giannis in Milwaukee worked out. Okay, so that's two guys. Where else has it worked out? It hasn't worked out anywhere. And Russell Westbrook, like that was the first one you read. Like this dude is just terrible now. I mean, yeah, he was okay in the Clippers series, in this last playoff series, but outside of that, he's just awful and he's never on the court. So it does concern me. I love Jaylen Brown. It was the only way to keep him here.
Sure.
But it does concern me because there are teams that have done this and have gone nowhere. And so the way I see it is we can go one of two ways, right? We can go the way of the Oklahoma City Thunder from when KD was there and Harden was there and Westbrook was there, or we go the Golden State Warriors route. Obviously, that's the preferable way. They've got the three guys who, just destroyed the league for many years, even up until 2 years ago. So I think if I'm, obviously as a homer perspective, I think that we're going to go the Golden State way, but you never know, right? You never know. Injuries can happen. This day and age, guys will go, I don't like the coffee when I wake up in the morning. I want to get the hell out of here. So it's like anything can happen, but I'm happy the Celtics are in the conversation, because it's more than they were before JT and JB came into town. So want us to win a championship, but at least it's good basketball to watch for 6 months. So.
Amen. Bergeron leaving, or making it official, I suppose.
Yeah.
Who's heading up? Well, I think who gets the captain? Who becomes the captain now? I'm your captain now. Like who is it? I mean, I think it's Brad Marchand. I think because I don't know.
So,
I don't
right?
know who else is left. We traded everybody else away.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know how I feel about the Bruins, so I don't even know their first line.
Well, here's
so
a question
you're on your
for
own
you.
on this one.
No, we'll keep it light and easy. It's just us girls.
Okay,
don't
good.
worry.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, good.
Is he, because of his 19 years, because he was always a Bruin, because he was part of a cup, is he statue worthy?
Statue worthy? I don't know.
That question was thrown around today, and I was like,
statue worthy?
I mean, the shirt goes up. Of course the shirt goes up.
Yes.
The Bruins,
I
unlike
don't
the
know.
Celtics, aren't running out of numbers.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
the Celtics are going
exactly.
to have to go to Roman numerals.
I mean, who do we have statues for? We have statues for Bobby Orr. We have Ted Williams.
Yeah.
We have Bill Russell.
Doug Flutie.
We do not have one for Doug Flutie. Stop.
It's
Stop it.
not
Where is
outside-
where
it's
is
not-
it? In Canada?
It's not outside the UMass Stadium. It's outside Alumni at the Heights, baby.
That does not count. Doug Flutie doesn't count.
Wow!
Oh! I love it. Doug Flutie.
Doug
We
Flutie
put him
doesn't
right
count.
next to Bill Russell. He's on the Mount Rushmore.
I'm gonna go on Google Maps and send you a screenshot. I'm gonna zoom in. It's the statue of him chucking the Hail Mary, the Hail Flutie.
I don't disagree. I don't not believe you that it exists.
I was helping you list New England heroes that are memorialized in either pewter or bronze.
Well, I assume.
All right, a girl can dream. Anyway, go ahead.
I assume Brady will get a statue at some point. But Bergeron, you won one cup. That's great. Good for you. I mean, not to diminish it, but I think he gets to the rafters. I don't think he gets a statue. I'd be shocked. And where would you put it, anyways?
Well, I'm not on board with that should happen. When you think about it, there's Ted Williams at Fenway.
Right.
There's Orr outside the Garden. There's not even a bird at
Marcus
the Garden.
Camby.
Camby. See?
Marcus Camby does have one at UMass. All right, he does have one at UMass. I will show you on Google Maps.
You can zoom in. We will trade zooms. I'm zooming in. It's like
Road trip. We're going to UMass Amherst. Get in the fucking car.
Yeah. Bring the zoom lens. It's like when you're on TikTok and you see those videos and it's somebody on like the world map and they're spinning the globe and they're They're like zooming in and they find some weird island with these laboratories. They're like, what is this? What are they doing in Antarctica, right? It's just going to be me finding the Flutie statue outside of Alumni, which will be easy to find because nobody's there. Oh, boy.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Anything to squeeze a Doug Flutie reference in, though, to the show. I mean, we should go back through our 100-plus episodes and see how many Doug Flutie references we've had. He hasn't played a lick of football in, 15 years? But we've referenced him almost every episode.
It's not why did you bring him up. It's why didn't you bring him up? That's really the question.
Good point.
Listen.
Good point. Oh, Doug Flutie. I mean, we talked about
in the new
Flutie
fall
Flakes for like
season
4 episodes in a row.
We have benchmarks coming. We'll discuss at the summit at Kowloon.
It'll be Flutie Forever will be Tim's segment.
Yeah, Flutie. Yeah, probably not.
And the
probably
Flutie
not.
stat of the week.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
So something I forget what triggered it this morning, and the wife and I were talking before I escaped for the office, and the Olympics. They were talking about basically that we're like just a year away now from the summers in Paris, which is like, oh my God, 2024. She had the roadmap up. 2026 winters of Milan. 2028, I believe, or LA. 2030 is still blank for winters. 2032 is Brisbane.
Oh, are you guys going to go?
Can you believe I'm rattling these dates off? I just said 2032.
That's pretty good. It's very
no, but
impressive.
2032 is just horrifying. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys should go.
No, that's not where I was going with this at all. Not at all. No,
we're just putting the bug out there for Janina. Janina, you guys should go.
She's gonna love it. No, we were talking about that, and then a couple other stories came up, and just thinking about the Olympics and the U.S. soccer team and the whole thing that just went on with the 4-0 win over Vietnam, and just the disparity in pay, women's sports, men's sports.
Oh,
and
it's brutal.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about that and get your 4 cents because I know how you feel, and I don't disagree that it should be commensurate. But when you break it down, like, are you still in the camp that they should make $8 trillion, even though the revenue that's coming in isn't on par with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. So I think that it needs to happen in tiers, right? I mean, you're not going to pay Breanna Stewart $300 million next year, because she's not the revenue's not there in the league. I mean, these teams, specifically the WNBA, and then I think the U.S. women's national team for soccer is totally a different topic because they actually outperform the men in every single category, right?
Sure.
I mean, attendance, they outperform them in number of wins. I mean, everything. With the women's basketball, I think attendance is not where the men is. TV viewing is not where the men
pricing.
is. Ticket prices. So, I mean, some of these teams, these franchises are only worth, but they're only worth like $90 million.
Yeah.
And so you can't pay, if you're only worth $90 million, you can't pay your star players $300 million, right? But I do think that there is an even playing field that can be found, like for travel. They should not be flying on domestic, they should not be flying around the country on Delta. They should be on charter flights. They shouldn't have to share rooms with each other. They might have done away with that in recent years. And their salaries should increase, and they are increasing. But, Asia Wilson, who's the MVP for the last 2 years of the WNBA, she just signed a 2-year deal for $200,000 a year. Like, okay, that's better than the $40,000 a year that Sue Bird started at, but that's still $200,000, which is basically what Jaylen Brown makes for lacing up his sneakers.
Yeah, for getting a haircut.
So,
Unreal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's crazy, the Aces, the Asia Wilson's team is just lights out. They've only lost 2 games all season. They're going to be the best WNBA team probably ever, and she's making that kind of money. So, I think that everything needs to be looked at. All sports, I think it needs to be an honest look, right? Because you can't just say, oh, we should pay the women the same as the men, because I don't think the male soccer team should make the same as the women. I think the women's soccer team should make more than the men. So
because they make more. Because they actually
make
draw
more.
more. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you're it's all about butts and seats, right? So if you're putting a bunch of butts and seats and the men aren't doing that, well, then you got to look at it. So I think you have to look at it sport by sport. And I think you have to look at it from a revenue standpoint, a viewership standpoint. I mean, the nice thing about it for basketball players, though, is that they're now able to get sponsorship deals, which is really great. I mean, they should be able to. They all have their own sneakers now. They're on video games now, like all this stuff that the men were doing. I think that's good for the sport because that allows them to make money. I mean, it's weird that you brought this up. I don't know why it came up today, but I just listened to a 30 for 30 podcast about Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, and when they were rookies, they came into the league, and the league minimum for rookies was $40,000 a year, and which is absurd. And she's like, Diana Taurasi was basically like, the guy who puts the floor down makes more money than I do, and I don't even, I'm playing. But they talked about how they got recruited to go to Russia when they first came into the league, and the team that they played for there paid them with incentives up to $1 million a year.
Wow.
And they were getting charter flights, and they were getting hotels paid for, good hotels paid for, and all that stuff. And it was really, really interesting to think that was 20 years ago. I mean, Diana Taurasi's been playing for 19 years.
Right.
So, and now we're at $200,000. I mean, that doesn't seem like it's made the proper progression. That being said, I do think that women's sports in general, as a general rule, are on the come up, and I think there will be some leveling of it. I don't envision, the MVP of the WNBA making what Jokic makes anytime soon, and it's also a league that's in its infancy. They've only been around for 27 years, or the NBA has been around for 75 years. So you have to take that into account too. So I think there's a lot to unpack about it. I don't think it's as simple as we make 70 cents on the dollar, because there are other performance metrics that you can use to determine how people make money, right? Like if I'm Adam DeYoung, and I go into a company and I want to do web design for a company, and the average salary for that is, or even a good salary for that, let's say, is $125,000 a year, and then a woman comes in who has the same skills as me, she should be paid $125,000 a year. There's not a whole lot of differentiation you can do between the two, right? But with sports, it's a little bit different, because with sports, you go, all right, well, this team is worth, like, these NBA teams are worth billions of dollars, right? So the NBA team's worth $5 billion. This WNBA team's worth $100 million. It's not equivalent. It will. I think it will eventually become that, because I think there's going to be a bubble in the NBA. I think there's going to be a point, you start to see players making $700-800 million. Like, actually, I think we talked about was it you and me, or was it me and Rubber Shoes? We're talking about, we were all three of us were together. We were talking about Ohtani in Major League Baseball. And I was like, it's ridiculous. $700 million. Before you know it, somebody's going to be making $1 billion. And that's nuts. And but it's probably going to happen. I think there's going to be some sort of bubble where it's going to level off. But I've actually always thought that. I thought that about ticket prices for concerts and sports. I thought that about when I remember back when A-Rod got his big deal with the Rangers way back, and everybody was like, well, I don't remember what it was, like $100 million or something for 10 years.
I was going to say it was like 125 or something.
Yeah, it was crazy. And for 10 years, like, what? Okay. Now the 12th player off the bench gets that kind of salary.
Yep.
But I think there will come a point. I mean, I would be surprised if we're sitting here 5 years from now and guys are making, $800 million. I would be surprised about that. I think it will level off in the NBA anyways, after this new TV deal, and things will sort of settle in, and the top guys will be getting paid what they deserve, and everybody else. And I think the WNBA has a ton of room to grow with salary, but they also have to continue to grow their TV viewership. Honestly, I have League Pass for WNBA, so I probably watch 3 or 4 games a week, and not always Connecticut Sun. Sometimes I'll watch different teams. And, the Las Vegas Aces, they've only lost 2 games. They're an like if you like basketball, they are a team to watch. I've thought about texting. I texted last night because there was a really good game on, but I thought about texting Scotty because he just loves basketball so much. I'm like, and this team plays really good basketball. But if you watch their games, the lower bowl is full, but the upper deck is not full. They're not selling out these games, so that needs to be taken into account. I mean, it just does. And as much as it pains me, because I wish these guys would be getting paid the same amount as the men, it's just they don't have the draw yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do someday. They just don't have it. So it was a long-winded answer, so I apologize.
No, I appreciate it. Like and the correlation you draw between like the corporate America and a job being done versus like there's no outside influence that dictates that. This company has expenses and cost of sale, and their payroll is part of their expenses, and they have this much money allotted for this position. It shouldn't matter who it is as long as the job is getting executed at a high level. It's not based on the fact that you're selling your jersey. We've got butts in the seats. We've got this TV deal. Imagine if we had TV deals at our offices.
I think you'd make a high dollar amount, Timmy.
Oh, can you imagine a trail cam in my office watching the footage? Right? God help us.
Who's he yelling at today? Tune in at 7.
And I think we've talked about this a little bit here and there. I think the coolest thing that's happened for college athletes is the NIL. Yeah. The name, image, likeness is such a phenomenal thing. For example, Charlotte North, who was our absolute stud lacrosse player on BC women's lacrosse, and she came back and did her 5th year last year. Or I should say a year ago last year. God, it's already August, dear Lord. And now she's off running camps, and I know she's behind the scenes. They're putting together a women's national lacrosse league. Like there's going to be women's pro lacrosse right next to. I know she's in bed with. She isn't, but she's in bed with all the guys that built the PLL. Right? You know what I mean?
What's her name again?
Charlotte North.
Okay.
And she was an absolute dynamo for us. And helped us capture, what did we capture? 2021. And yeah, she's awesome. And now she's running camps. She's got name, image, likeness. All these kids do. And like the kids that don't have a chance to go play at the next level can get a big bag of money and keep it moving forward too. Like just because you don't go play at the pro level, but now some of the kids that are making name, image, likeness maybe they don't have. I mean, I would argue that most of these kids do, but so much of it is just the fact that we need you to sell Nikes or Pepsi. It might not be that you actually have the chops to play at the pro level, but they'll make enough of a bag and still be so passionate about the sport. They can be, hey, man, like I'm not going to translate to the field for your league, but I'd love to open a team in Nashville, right? Right. And I got 2 other friends that want to do this, or I've got some other relationships, and I think that's how these sports grow, because these kids that do have the ability to be really great at the college level, maybe not play at the pro level or whatever it looks like, they're going to get their hands on money and relationships that are going to help them start to build these things out and make it more dominant, because I think that's just it. One of the big drivers right now, I think, especially for the female sports is, and this is going to sound sexist, it's my specialty, when you're and because you're the anomaly, right? Yeah. Usually and I know you and Jess are pretty balanced. Janina is definitely more of a dork when it's like, we have to go to this stadium or whatever, when we go on road trips. She's we're going to University of Eastern Southern Canadian Michigan. We have to get, they're the road hens. We have to get a picture of the stadium. She's maniacal with this stuff. But in a lot of American families, dad's the decision maker. We have this much money for this weekend. We're going to the Mets game. Right. It's not like, are we going to go see the Liberty play? Right. That's not held in the 100%. Same esteem. So the financial decision maker on which athletic event we're going to attend might be more male driven. Yep. And I think this is the seismic shift that's going to happen over time. Right. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think that the one caveat to that, I think, is that it's become for certain sports, certain women's sports, it's become okay for dad to go, we're going to this
women's basketball game. We're going to this women's, a softball game, professional softball game, whatever it is, lacrosse,
roller
whatever
derby,
it is.
Good fun.
Yeah.
Roller derby. Do it. Yeah.
We'll go to Hooters first, but we're gonna. No.
Yes. Come on, girls, get in the car. We're going. Come for the breast, stay for the wings. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think it's becoming more accessible across genders, but and not for. I think the thing about this NIL situation is allowing these players to have a business sense almost more than they have a sports sense, right? I mean, the NBA guys, they started to develop as business people once they started to figure out their money, right? You hear all the time about the guys in the 80s. They made no money and they had no business deals. And then all of a sudden Jordan comes along, and Jordan is the touch point for all of these guys to go, wait a minute, if he can do it, maybe I can't do it at $4 billion a year, but I can do it at a couple $100 million.
Right.
And you look at, just to bring it back, if you look at, I was just watching an interview with Magic Johnson, who just became a part owner of the Washington Commanders. And this guy, he was a basketball player. That's what he did. That's all he did, right? And then now he owns a piece of the Dodgers. He owns a piece of the Sparks. He owns a piece of an MLS team, and now he owns a piece of the Commanders. And all of a sudden, this guy's going to be a billionaire, right? Yeah. And it's good for the sport. It's good for him, obviously, and it's good for people coming up too, because they can say, "Oh, great! I'm not going to play in the pros, but I made a couple $100,000 in an NIL deal. Let me go see what I can start, and turn it into something that's not going to go from playing college sports to being a scientist or whatever it is. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
well, and over time, I think there'll be more stories like that, like you're talking about, back in the 80s, like when you made the reference point, the first face I saw was Darryl Strawberry, right?
Yeah.
Just like, and where is he now? I don't even know. And I'm not even joking. I would never make fun of this. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. Like, honestly.
No, I agree. Right now, I agree when you said that
I would not bet my children's life on the fact that I could tell you if he's walking or laying down right now. I have no idea.
Right.
That
totally
being
agree.
said, one of those athletes that just burned it out at the stake, and then you've got A-Rod, and you can feel however you want, real estate mogul. You just talked about Magic. The NFL used to always talk about, okay, when all the new kids get here, we're going to bring all the rookies into a room, and we're going to have the "Don't be an idiot" speech.
Right.
Take the Uber, wear the condom, don't bring her back to your room. Our dear friend.
Don't beat her up, by the way. Don't beat her up.
Yeah, don't be Lenny Bias, right? It's very exciting. You got your contract. Don't do cocaine on the night you got your contract. It doesn't bode well. Like all those things. And now I think also above and beyond that, and I think our children are getting smarter, and it's still not in schools the way it should be. Nobody expected this episode. Welcome to the show. Nobody, none of us. And I can speak for you because you went through the same school system that I did. We never had financial proficiency classes. No. None of that conversation. So these kids with these NIL deals are forced, and they're not all going to have perfect counsel around them. We know that.
Right.
But they're forced to learn the business end of it even before they finish college.
Yeah.
Because they're getting that, and it's not going to be every college athlete, but I think the proliferation of these kids that are getting their hands on money that are going to be able to invest, even if they can't be on the field, they can build the field. And I think that's going to change the landscape of all of this, and that's really exciting. So
the real question is, when will your son pay off your mortgage? Because he's going to play lacrosse.
He's going to play in the short man's league. The short man's league.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I thought they could still do NIL deals there. They can still do that.
There might be some NIL money at Division III Lake Forest. Yes, we never know. Maybe not.
Never know.
Yep.
It might be some local, pizza place that wants to sponsor the team, and he's one of the stars, and they want him in their commercial. You never know.
Yes, and NIL stands for naturally intelligent and lovely. That's what he'll tell you. Yeah, I don't know if that's happening, but that's a whole other thing. You're gonna have kids that are going, and and we can pick on BC because here we go. The percentage of kids that play BC football that go on to the NFL is very small. What
Right,
most of them do is absolutely the graduation rate is through the roof, much like Notre Dame and a lot of the smarter schools. They'll definitely finish their degree. They're definitely going to go work at Putnam or whatever, and then get involved in those ways.
Right.
And that's going to be something for Aiden. He gets 4 more years of lacrosse, thank God, but he's also going to get a phenomenal education and go do whatever he does, whether it's politics or punching people in the face in courtrooms or whatever, So yeah, who knows? Who knows?
All joking aside, there are opportunities at every level, really. I mean, you even see like incredible high school players getting NIL deals, right? So it's like, there's levels of it, of course, like anything. You're not going to, a BC football player is not going to get an NIL deal like a Florida football player, probably, right? But
Bama, they're getting an American Express. Up here, they're getting a Dunks card. Honestly, like Art, he's I think he's going to end up wearing 4 for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, but yeah, you've got our wide receiver. I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm pulling a Mitch McConnell.
I wish I could help you, but I can't.
I wish I could help you. I'll look it up because I'm losing my mind. My wife is probably screaming at the computer right now. Like, how do you not remember? Anyway,
you rattled off 10 years of the Olympics and you can't remember a wide receiver from BC?
The funniest part about this is the deals that he got were like Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, God. Zay Flowers, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for checking in.
It is.
Zay Flowers got he had Dunkin' Donuts. He had a couple of local pizza places in Cleveland Circle. And then there's a car dealership that you'll see it all over the place. Not a sponsor yet, so I won't use their name. Last time I used a car dealership's name on the radio, dude, I lost my job. That's a story for another time. See? I am the cat that was kicked. I won't do it. Wow, did you see the look on my face?
It's been quite a run.
It was like I saw a ghost. I almost had a car dealership into a microphone. That doesn't bode well for my broadcasting career. And he's
I don't think they'll fire you from your day job for that, by the way. I hope not.
Rubber Shoes might let me go. You never know. Well, ironically, the team here is the team that was there, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, We just changed buildings. He's knee deep with BC. He's a BC guy, so that's how he got that deal. So there's a bunch of kids at BC that have NIL deals, and they're driving free cars from him, which is really funny.
And talking about this is interesting because, it's the. I was thinking about UConn because UConn has an NIL collective now. So they have all of the athletes from all of the sports are in a group. And so you can, as an advertiser, you can, buy, pay an individual, but you can buy a collective group. You can say, I want a player from the lacrosse team. I want a player from the baseball team. I want a player from the basketball team. And then you put them all in your commercial. They represent UConn, but they all get paid a certain amount of money, which is great. I mean, that's great because that allows them to make money off the UConn name.
Yep.
But also they're associated with it, right? They're associated with the team and the school, and then they can make a little bit of money. And these are players that otherwise, they're not the national champions on the basketball team. They're the, lacrosse kids who, maybe are 3rd or 4th off the bench, but they can associate their name with UConn. So I always think it's, I thought that was a really great thing that UConn's doing. I'm sure other schools are doing it too. It's not
that's pretty
just
cool.
UConn, but I think it's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, it's a great point because the long stick mini from lacrosse might not get the same cachet that the wide receiver from the football team gets.
Exactly.
But now he or she is in an ad, next to the predominant athlete at the school.
Right. Yeah. Right. But they get a little piece of that, so they can go off when they graduate. Like you said, if they're not going off to be a pro, they have a little bit of money in their pocket, and they can. So it's interesting. Rubber Shoes is probably losing his mind. If he's listening, he may not be listening because he's dealing with something, but if he's listening, he's probably losing his mind because we spent 25 minutes on NIL and 0 minutes so far on the Red Sox. We spent about
We're waiting for I'm going to wait for him to get he's going to want to talk Bergie. We'll let him do that next week. He's definitely going to want to go deep on the Red Sox. We did mention the Red Sox. We talked about Mr. Jingles and Cheryl watching the Red Sox. They got to mention And we brought up Doug Flutie again, right?
Amazing.
It's not why did you bring him up, it's why didn't you bring him up?
They can't leave us alone. Scotty and Rubber Shoes, they can't leave us alone because we're just talking
we got some Mitch McConnell in, right? I said Mitch McConnell's words for him.
Yep.
And with all due respect, I hope he's okay, but I think that he's not. That was, if you see it on the news, it's not great.
I didn't see the clip, but I read about it, and I was.
Yeah, it's not great. He just stops talking, and it's not until he's addressed by somebody standing next to him at the dais that he comes to.
And he did come out and say he was fine, but
Oh, he did.
Of course he's going to say that. Of course he's going to say that.
Yep.
Dianne Feinstein has been talking about how she's fine for like 10 years, and not to be a jerk, but it's a degenerative thing.
Yes,
so over time, it's been not great.
You and I both love the politics. It's a sport for me. Watching Washington, I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Cannot get enough of it. I put on the angry political shows, and Janina's like, really? Why
are we doing this?
You spent the whole day yelling at your office. Now you're coming home and you're yelling at the TV.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait until you're 75 years old on your couch just screaming about Social Security. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Well, and don't forget, we talked about this last week where I sent the email. The email? I sent a text to my in-laws, to the household, letting everybody. Want me to read it to you? You're gonna love this.
I absolutely do want you to read this to me.
Of course you want me to. Earlier this week, I said to Jane, I'm like, I gotta text your parents. Yeah. This is. Can
you share what size the text is on your phone? Is it zoomed in at all, or?
It's not bad. No.
That's not bad.
Oh, no, I'm not blind, dude. I'm good.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying. Okay.
6:59 yesterday morning. Good morning. In a couple of weeks, on Sunday, August 6th, this really does sound like I am the HOA president, right? Like I'm sending this out to the street, right?
We will be down for maintenance.
Yes! Listen to this. This is honest to God. I wrote this to my in-laws, and then we'll let everybody get on with their lives. Good morning. In a couple of weeks, on Sunday, August 6th, we will be moving from DirecTV satellite over to DirecTV streaming service. We will be sending back all of our boxes that are connected to our televisions. If you have any content on your DVR that needs to be viewed between now and then, please do so. I'm good at this, dude.
This is very good.
I am Slumlord Millionaire. Yep. We will have all the same channels and unlimited recordings to the cloud DVR. You will now be viewing all of your DirecTV content through an app on your Roku TV. The good news is you'll be able to also watch DirecTV on the content in the TV in your bedroom. So in the bedroom, they had one up on the wall with a cable box. Yeah. But they wanted something closer, so I got them a 43 on a stand. It's right at the foot of their bed.
Okay.
But they'd be able to watch like Netflix and stuff, but they couldn't watch actual content from DirecTV because there was no box attached. So now all the TCL Roku TVs will talk to it. But I sent this off, and I got a wonderful reply later that morning at 8:44 from my wicked mother-in-law that said thank you.
Oh.
And they'll be wildly
nice.
So just know on Sunday, August 6th, while I'm making this transformation at the Lindsay compound. And thank God it'll be the Sabbath. I will be invoking the Lord's name, I assure you. Because there'll be such confusion.
I mean, there's so many questions.
So you're telling me all the cable is now inside the television? Yes. It's unbelievable.
Timothy, why do I have to see your ABC News? Why am I seeing David Muir on my TV now?
And who does David Muir's hair? Did that happen in Ukraine? Is that because of the war? It's a fascinating hairstyle, but anyway.
There's a full episode we could be discussing just the transformation from your DirecTV boxes to your Roku TV app. I only have one that I will share now because we are well past our time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I ask this out of love. The text message versus the knock on the door downstairs, because they're only down the stairs, right?
How lost in translation this is for court, Adam.
Oh,
there's a written transcript of all the information, time stamped, right?
Fair enough.
The unmitigated disaster that the verbal game of telephone. Well, no, I
Yeah,
think
I got
Timmy said blah blah blah. Nope,
Did he
I'm
say
pretty
August 9th or 6th?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said we're getting rid of cable because he doesn't love us. Like it'll go all over the place. that is measured, detailed, concise, and accurate. Right?
That is not something I thought of. So that's very smart. That's very smart.
Being in real estate, you can communicate, but you always want to follow up and have a legal snail trail of information.
Smart.
So I sent them a text. Not to mention, I'm on a hot streak right now, and I haven't seen either one of my in-laws in over 14 days. So,
wow.
No, I saw my father. No, mother-in-law popped up the other day. Father-in-law was in the driveway the other day, and I didn't hit him. I'm a good person.
That's impressive that they live downstairs and you just
they have we built it out. They've got their own kitchen. It's a whole different, like there's two heating systems. Like there's no reason for their chocolate to be in my peanut butter. And I celebrate that with text.
Oh man, I love it. I cannot wait to hear about this transition.
It's gonna be phenomenal. It's gonna be phenomenal.
Timothy.
Yeah.
Why can't I watch my Great British Baking Off show?
Yeah. Where's Hallmark HD? That's the thing. All the numerical channels are the same.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
So it's not a lot of the transmission of the information is different.
Right.
Yeah. Right. All the channels are the same.
I can't wait to hear the first story about when your recording is watched by them and you're like, now it's not showing up in my new recordings.
I'm at peace with this. I don't think the one thing that I love to record, the nightly news. I think anything I record, they're probably not interested in.
Oh, okay. That's
good. Well, for a myriad of reasons, but we are polarized, as you know.
Okay.
So yeah, gotcha. they're not going to be like, oh, let me go rewatch Glenn Beck. Like that's not happening, right? Not that I'm recording, but just to take an extreme example, they're not going to be like, oh my God, good. Let me go watch this. That's not happening.
Brett Baer?
Yeah. Oh, good. The 5 is on. Yeah, they're not rushing to do that. I think I'm probably just going to stop recording stuff.
Okay.
And I think the cloud DVR is going to be theirs. And I'm going to have to do my best to not see what's on that list. Right?
Are they like way off on you? Or like, are they Maddow? Or are they somewhere in between? Or just apolitical?
Oh no, they're left political. They're not apolitical. They're not. Yeah, there's there's nothing agnostic about them. They are. Yeah. Well, it's soft socialism. They're Australians.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
They're like knee-high leather
Australian
boots away from totalitarian. Yeah. They're just. Yeah.
We might be going down a slippery slope now.
But it is a slippery slope right downstairs to my in-laws. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, all right. We thank you for checking us out.
All this from DirecTV.
Yeah. See what happens? It's not why did you bring Flutie up. It's why didn't you bring Flutie up? That's the question. Honest to God. We just named the show too, which is great. All right. We'll see you guys on the other side of it. Scotty will be back next week, God willing. Rubber Shoes, we trust will be with us next week.
Hopefully.
We will recap the decision about Berge and let Rubber Shoes talk about that. We'll talk about the Red Sox. We're only a couple of weeks away from our summit at Kowloon, where we prep everything for the new fall season. So we appreciate you watching the show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And it's all at atbshow.com, brought to you by our dear friends at AAA Work Trucks. For Adam and myself, Rubber Shoes and Scotty, have a phenomenal week.